In the opening scene of the film, we are introduced to a charismatic salesman named Bemis. He finds himself at a bustling village auction, where he showcases various animals to an intrigued crowd. With passion in his voice, he emphasizes that these hard-working creatures lack the ability to think for themselves. However, the real surprise comes when Bemis unveils a new set of unique and extraordinary animals, the Thorophants. The Thorophants, a captivating blend of elephants and horses. As these majestic creatures gracefully make their way to the stage, a hush falls over the onlookers, captivated by their beauty and novelty. Among the Thorophants stands Mosley, a remarkable individual who astounds everyone by demonstrating the gift of communication with Bemis and others. Seizing the opportunity, Bemis decides to auction off these exceptional beings. Mosley, eager to understand the unfolding situation, turns to its mother for answers, but she too is clueless about the bids and escalating energy surrounding them. Despite the confusion and concern, Mosley finds itself sold to the highest bidder, embarking on a new journey with its new owners, uncertain about what awaits. Jumping 25 years into the future, Mosley has built a family and eagerly anticipates the arrival of his second child. Alongside his responsibilities, he continues to work on the farm, while his wife, Barrett, takes care of their eldest son, Rue. During their daily work on the fields, Mosley collaborates with Simon, where they prepare the soil for planting. In the midst of their work, Bemis reappears, attempting to sell his miracle remedies to Simon. While the human negotiations with Bemis continue, Mosley reunites with his old friend Turpin and engages in conversation. However, their chat is interrupted by Rue, who excitedly shares about a mysterious cave he discovered. As Bemis persists in trying to sell his medicines to Simon, the farmer, aware of Bemis's dubious reputation, declines to make any purchase. Failing to persuade Simon, Bemis changes tactics, proposing to auction off Rue in the nearby town, with promises to share the profits with Simon. However, Simon hesitates, believing Rue is too young for such a venture, and asks for more time to consider the proposition. Bemis, eager to convince Simon further, suggests that they should think big and expand their business by planting on an abandoned piece of land. Mosley intervenes, knowing that the land Bemis points out is unsuitable for farming due to its rocky and root-filled nature. Simon becomes irritated, considering Mosley to be interfering, and throws a rock at the Thorophant. As night falls, Mosley, feeling upset, decides to rest and lie down to sleep. However, Rue calls out to him, eager to show the hiding place he found. Initially reluctant, Mosley eventually agrees to explore the cave, persuaded by Barrett. Following the light of fireflies, Mosley follows Rue to the entrance of the hideout. As Rue jumps into the hole, Mosley calls for him to be careful. In his attempt to reach Rue, the rocky ground gives way under Mosley's weight, causing him to slip and fall into the cave. Inside the cave, they discover ancient paintings on the walls, depicting bipedal Thorophants with hands similar to humans. Intrigued, Mosley explores further and comes across countless different drawings, triggering memories of his childhood. Turpin had once told him about two families of Thorophants from long ago, the Uprights, who escaped northward to live freely and isolated, and the others who remained to serve humans. Mosley and his family are descendants of the latter, undergoing various adaptations over time to become quadrupeds with strong legs for working in the fields. Curious about the upright ones, Mosley wonders why they never returned to help their kind. Turpin explains that the upright Thorophants were unaware of the existence of their descendants, but a legend foretells the day when the bipedal Thorophants will come back to save their brothers from human servitude. Mosley finds it hard to believe, dismissing it as a mere hopeful tale, telling Rue that upright Thorophants don't actually exist. As the evening arrives, Rue becomes very upset when Mosley tells him it's time to go home. While their son sleeps, the Thorophant couple discusses the cave drawings they saw earlier. In the meantime, Bemis passes by, boasting about convincing Simon to sell Rue. Simon agrees, but he feels it's too early, deciding that he'll only part with the child after Bara gives birth. Bara, desperate to save their child, implores Mosley to do something. He suggests talking to Simon, but Bara knows it won't work, and instead proposes seeking help from the upright ones in the cave. The next morning, Mosley goes to work with the plow, but it gets stuck on roots and rocks. Instead of helping, Simon begins whipping Mosley, accusing the Thorophant of being useless and causing the plow to break in the process. Angry and frustrated, Simon goes to complain to Bemis, blaming him for suggesting this place for planting. While the humans argue, Mosley decides to listen to his wife and return to the hideout of the Upright Ones. The humans notice Mosley leaving and go after him. After a few miles, Mosley reaches the entrance of the cave, hiding under a rock as Simon calls out to him. However, Mosley refuses to respond, and Simon goes to question Bara, who refuses to reveal where Mosley went. In desperation, Simon decides to seek the help of a skilled hunter known as Warfield to find Mosley. Bemis heads to the next town to call the hunter, and Warfield agrees to visit Simon's farm. Desperate to get Mosley back unharmed, Simon offers Warfield $350 for the task. However, the hunter remains silent, walking toward the forest without a response. As it turns out, Warfield is a hunter specialized in capturing Thorophants. He had discovered the cave's drawings and set up traps to capture any Thorophants that ventured there. Unaware of the danger, Mosley explored the cave and accidentally fell into one of Warfield's traps, leaving him trapped. After some time, Warfield eventually found Mosley in the trap and planned to take one of its horns as a souvenir before returning it to Simon. However, Bemis and his men approach, catching Warfield off guard. Startled, they all end up falling into the same trap where Mosley is trapped. The fall allows Mosley to use them as support to climb out of the trap and run for the cave's exit. As Mosley races through the cave, Warfield tries to shoot arrows at him, causing the Thorophant to slip and fall into a river. Despite the fall, Mosley manages to survive and realizes he is in an abandoned monastery. Unaware that Warfield is still following their trail, he looks for a hiding spot. Little does he know, he is being pursued by a figure lurking in the shadows. While exploring the monastery, Mosley stumbles upon two upright beings, the Upright Thorophants, and listens to their conversation while remaining hidden. However, Galen, the eldest of the Uprights, discovers Mosley and mistakes him for a puppy. Galen starts to pet and play with the unsuspecting Thorophant. As Mosley grabs the attention of the other monks, they initially think he is attacking Galen. However, after the confusion clears, they recognize that Mosley is a quadruped Thorophant. Mosley explains that they came to the monastery to take care of Galen, the last surviving Thorophant from the migration era. According to the two monks, Galen has lost much of his sanity over the years, but has also developed a magical power, leading him to have numerous visions lately. Galen's recent dreams have been about fireflies guiding him to the monastery, prompting him to travel south without fully understanding why. Mosley gets excited, revealing that he was also brought to the monastery by fireflies. He shares Turpin's story about the two Thorophant families that split up in the past. Believing it to be part of a prophecy, Mosley suggests that the Upright Ones should save the other Thorophants. He proposes going to the monk city to gather an army and return to the human world to rescue their fellow Thorophants. The monks express concern, stating that things are not that simple, but Warney steps in, offering help and agreeing to accompany them to the city of the Upright Ones. During the journey, Mosley becomes eager and starts asking about their army, but the monks always seem to change the subject, instead showing him the wonders of having hands. Unaware that Warfield is still following their trail, they continue onward. The four Thorophants continue their journey north until they reach the Great Orchard, a huge and dense forest that separates the human world from the secret city of the Thorophants. In a hurry, Mosley suggests crossing it as quickly as possible. However, Diva warns them that the orchard is haunted and extremely dangerous, suggesting they go around instead. While the monks argue about the best path, Mosley discovers a large passage under the orchard. Warning insists on going around since this shortcut isn't on the map, but Diva convinces him to take the new route. After walking for a while, Galen stops to rest, allowing the other Thorophants to go ahead. Suddenly, a tremor shakes the trees, causing branches to fall, almost crushing Diva. The group gets separated, and Mosley quickly grabs Galen, rushing toward the exit to avoid the falling rocks. Warney and Diva climb a tree to escape the danger and end up in the dark forest, right in front of the cave where Mosley escaped. As the group sets up camp for the night, they wake up to find Galen following the fireflies. Seeing him approaching a cliff, the other monks rush to save him. Despite their efforts, Galen is determined to follow the fireflies over the abyss, Just then, Warfield arrives at the camp, drawn by the screams. Diva distracts the hunter while Galen insists that they should trust the fireflies. Mosley decides to believe them and follows the fireflies toward the abyss. The insects carry him, and Warnie and Diva join in, magically flying across the large orchard. Warfield watches as they cross the forest. Finally, they land near the City of the Uprights and start walking toward it. Mosley is curious about the missing army that could save his family. They arrive at the city, and Mosley sees that all the Uprights are elderly. Warnie reveals that none of the Uprights have been able to have children for over 100 years, putting them on the brink of extinction. The Queen apologizes for the Thorophant's past suffering and offers weapons to fight alongside them against the humans. However, the Uprights are old and weak, lacking experience in warfare. Galen is hit by an arrow and mortally wounded, but Mosley decides to face Warfield to protect his family. The group devises a plan to lure Warfield into the orchard, where there is a hidden tree that grants wishes. Meanwhile, at the farm, Burra goes into labor and needs help. Rue runs to call Simon, and he rushes to assist in the birth. Mosley follows the fireflies, and Warfield shoots an arrow into the ground to stop him. The half-bull, half-elephant confronts Warfield, but the hunter shoots an arrow into Mosley's belly, wounding him. Just when Warfield is about to deliver a fatal blow, the fireflies form a luminous night that intervenes, allowing Mosley to escape safely. In the palace, the Upright Ones wonder what happened, and suddenly Mosley appears, accompanied by the glowing knight. With the knight by his side, Mosley is granted a wish by the Queen of the Uprights. Mosley's only desire is to see his family free from Rue's grasp. The knight offers him a fruit from the orchard, which fulfills his wish. Soon after, Burra's daughter is born, and Bemis arrives to take Rue for auction. However, the upright version of Mosley emerges and refuses to let his family be taken away. He effortlessly defends himself against Simon's attempts to fight and suspends the farmer in the air, leaving him terrified. Now reunited, Mosley gives each member of his family a fruit from the orchard, causing them to transform into bipeds like him. With their newfound ability to walk upright, they head to the City of the Uprights to help free all the Thorophants still serving humans. Together, they work to re-establish their species and erase the past of servitude, finally embracing their true identity and freedom.